My friends, our lives, we have people who diminish us. You know what diminishment means, right? To break down, to, you can say destroy, but it really isn't destroying. It's more breaking down. It's like taking a rock and slowly beating at it until it starts to become sand. Slowly. You diminish what is so that only the one who diminishes it is in charge. In Egypt, from the 14th dynasty, which was, or the 12th dynasty, was when Joseph was there. And you may know the story where Joseph went. And there was, of course, Amenemhet and Senuseret, two co-regent pharaohs on the throne. And this is the time I go into this inside the story of the dreamer. And Joseph became in charge of Egypt after all of his hard times. And then along comes the family of Joseph, and they live in Egypt. And this is in history where things get complicated. It's a period called the Hyksos period, after the 12th dynasty. Literally, it's 13, 14, 15, and 16th dynasties are all, some of them coinciding each other. I don't know if you know anything in history of, have you ever heard of Avignon? You know, the time when the popes were in France, and there also were popes in Italy, and they were arguing with each other. You know, they're all multiple popes at the same time of different parts of, you know, everything kind of disintegrated before it was reformed. Well, that's how Egypt was. Literally, there would be wars from one side of the Nile to the other during the Hyksos period. And this is when the Asiatics were in charge. Asiatics. Remember, the Hebrews were there in Egypt. And his brothers probably weren't the best, or their families weren't the best at leading. I don't know, but I do know the Asiatics are the ones with the beards. Now, all of the reliefs of them have been removed, except for the relief at Senuseret's tomb, where you can see the relief, meaning the picture. And I've got it in the museum of basically Joseph's brothers coming in there, and they're bringing gifts to the Pharaoh. But then Hyksos period was this period of mess, about 250 years. Maybe a little more than 250, maybe about 300. And then along came a Pharaoh who did not care or knew not Joseph. Okay? This was the 18th dynasty, where Thutmose, Thutmose the first, the great. Am I on here? There we go. Testing 1, 2. We seem to, Fabio's not there at the testing 1, 2. All right, never mind. I'll get nice and loud. So it seems like Thutmose comes along. And let's go ahead and have a little more volume on this thing. So Thutmose comes along, and he puts the hammer down. This was about the 1500s BC-ish. And as he puts the hammer down, we read in Exodus. It says here, I'll read from Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Then a new king, to whom Joseph meant nothing, came to power in Egypt. Verse 9. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become far too, what? Are you there? Is anyone in the scriptures here? Exodus chapter 1, verse 9. Look, he said to the people, the Israelites have become far too mighty or numerous for us. Verse 10, come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous. And if war breaks out, they will join our, what? Enemies. And leave, what? Leave the country. In life, there are multipliers, liberator types, and there are diminishers. The diminisher type, which I'm sure you've had a boss that was a diminisher, right? You know what a diminisher does? A diminisher is someone that's building their own empire. The politics all is about them. They get the best people for the office or whatever. They get the best people for the job, and once they get there, they proceed to work them so hard, and whenever they make a mistake, they call out that mistake and slowly break that person down. And they become less able to do their job because the boss is the only one that should be the star of the show. I'm sorry, but we've seen that even in churches, haven't we? Haven't we? That personality. If you want power in this world, that's the way to do it. Bring the best people to your place. Turn them all into your ants so they can work for you, while they themselves now can't go anywhere else because they're so diminished and unable. In fact, make sure that, in fact, in the process, by the way, in the process, you'll always notice that the ones with the best talent oftentimes get beaten down by the leader, so that everyone knows no one should outshine the boss, right? While at the same time, they make that person unable to go anywhere else because now their resume looks bad because he's not really that great of an employee. I thought he was going to be really good, but he doesn't really work really well here. Break them down. Diminishment. This is exactly what Pharaoh was doing to the children of Israel. It was obvious. God was blessing the children of Israel. And so what does he do? He diminishes. He breaks down. He says, and you notice that, he doesn't want them to leave, does he? It's like the Roach Motel. You can check in, but you can't check out. Right? So now, nobody wants them to come because Pharaoh talks trash about them, destroys them so much. And what does that do to the slave mind? What that does to me and you when we're being diminished is we begin to believe the gaslighting. I wish I had better people here. If you were good, then do good. If you're so great, then do good. You build this and we'll see how good it is. By the way, like Pharaoh said, I'm not going to give you any straw. You think you're great? Go get your own straw, but yet you have to have the same amount. As the slave mindset pushes down and the person doesn't stand straight up anymore, they start standing like this. Have you experienced that? Have you experienced that in relationships? No matter what you do, it's not good enough. It's true we ourselves, we can't, sometimes, let me back up a second. Let me reform the sentence. It's true that sometimes we are diminished because we are also diminishers. Because sometimes we're attracted to the people that are like us. That's true. Sometimes it's good for us to reset everything. There's a reason why Jesus said in Matthew, you are the light of the world. But if you don't believe you can make any light, then of course you're going to hide it because you don't know how to make it, right? I've been taught my whole life I have no light inside me. That's what this world does to you. The black hole in our heart becomes bigger, and it sucks more good things into rather than giving outward to others. So essentially, what happens is Pharaoh doesn't like these people, but doesn't want them to leave. It's a codependent relationship, right? This brings me now to I'm going to be, now on the video, on the sound, Fabio, we're going to have the sound up and down a little bit. I want to make sure YouTube doesn't strike us, but I do know that it's hard. This is from Prince of Egypt, just been edited together. Maybe I'll say, Lily, when I tell you just, maybe just hit pause or something like that. I don't know how that works on there, but we'll figure it out. If not, never mind. But we'll just turn down the volume and the visuals will go behind. Are you ready? Take a look. It's great. I love this. Prince of Egypt. Turn up the volume a little bit. The children of Israel are working faster. Without these children of Israel, Egypt will not be built. And yet, you do not appreciate with the salt of my sweat on my brow. Can you hear your people cry? Deliver us. There's an ancient cave you can go to in the Sinai Peninsula where you find an etching in ancient Proto-Hebrew. These very words are written in a cave where they were there to harvest turquoise, a turquoise mine. They're writing on the walls, may a deliverance come for us, for we have been destroyed by life. In this time, Pharaoh said, all the children of Israel, the boys, are too abundant. So what does he do? Throw the children, the males, not the females, the males to the crocodiles, of which the Nile had a lot of. And so Jochebed, the mother of Moses, takes him and hides him in a basket, not realizing what was going to happen. The daughter of Thutmose I, Hatshepsut, is there, and she finds a child. We have here Thutmose III, this little boy. She says, Ramses, ignore that.
Come, Ramses. We will show Pharaoh your new baby brother.
New baby brother. Moses. Do you know what the name Moses means? It means took, taken from the water. Yes. I can't let the music end, you know. Some great music there. Steven Spielberg did a great job. The Geef and HKG back in the days when Hollywood knew how to do stuff back then. And so Hatshepsut, the daughter of Pharaoh, Thutmose I, who is the wife of Thutmose II. Now, let me get into it for a second, because to understand diminishing culture, you have to understand the dysfunction. There's a reason why we become diminishers of others. Pharaoh has a child named Hatshepsut, the daughter, but she cannot be king because she's not a male. So he has another little wife. Interesting. Even in today's culture, we see that. Serial monogamy, right? He has this other little wife of which he has a child named Thutmose II. This one must marry Hatshepsut because the royal blood needs to be stayed within. You don't share blood outside of the. That's why we actually, in Egyptian history, you'll find people that are absolutely insane sometimes or geniuses because of that mixing that would happen. So Hatshepsut, the daughter of Pharaoh, marries the son of Pharaoh through a different wife. But one day, Thutmose II is found without his head in his bed. And Hatshepsut becomes king. How do you like that? She was tough. But in the meantime, Hatshepsut, before Thutmose II died of an untimely death, she had another daughter from Thutmose II, and then another little wife had another son, just like his dad, named Thutmose III, the third. And now, Hatshepsut becomes king. And in fact, if you look, you can see ancient artwork. In Theater of the Universe, I show a little bit, where she even has a beard. But yet you can tell it's a female. Just like all of the kings would. She was a powerful ruler, but she did things differently. She didn't go to war. She would do economic war. She wanted to unite the kings, the Nubia and all of this. Sud is a great place where she pulled in, and this area, she would bring them in economically, make trade deals, much like what we're dealing with today. Didn't want to deal with war, wanted to deal with money, and it worked with Hatshepsut. But while she was doing that, she sent Thutmose to war, to learn how to do war, and he had some amazing military campaigns. In fact, during the time when he was co-regent on the throne with Hatshepsut as the younger one that was going to take the throne, he actually had a battle called the Battle of Megiddo, and to this day that's studied in warfare history, the Battle of Megiddo, where Thutmose III learned how to be a commanding officer. Now, in the midst of that story that you just had with Moses, Thutmose III was from the little wife, right, of Thutmose II. Moses was brought from the waters. At the same time, Thutmose III was there. And Moses was given by the gods in her mind to her, the son she never had. Whereas she only had daughters. Unless her daughter is strong like her, she will not be on the throne. But Moses can be on the throne. Does that make sense? How would you feel if you were Thutmose III? I know you're probably lost in the names. But if you were the one that's the little Pharaoh to Moses, how would you feel in that situation? Remember, diminishing others comes because of being diminished yourself. You're here, but not noticed. Diminishers are good at the, ever heard of flying monkeys? Ever heard of flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz? In psychology, you'll have this in a family, which is a family where there's dysfunction. You'll have the one that's the golden child that always does well. Have you seen that? Then there's the other one that's like the scapegoat, always doing things wrong, the black sheep. And the other ones are, everyone in the family is kind of like the flying monkeys in this dysfunction. The flying monkeys are the ones that always report on the one that's the bad guy and tries to get, that's in a diminishing culture. I've seen it in churches. I've seen it in government. I've seen it in media. I've seen it it's in life, and you see it in business all the time, where you have the one that's the unloved one and the other one that's so great, but the reason why they're so great is because the boss is made good, looking good because of them. The real reason why usually the golden child exists is to make mom and dad feel better, or to make the boss look good. It's not because of innate talent. It's because that's how a diminishing culture works. Put down the ones who are the most able so that they don't look good. Are you with me in this? The children of Israel are somehow connected with this guy Moses, or Took, the one who was taken from the waters, right? Let's hear some of this. I would like you to, now we're going to have one more video here I'd like you to see. And great dialogue in this. This is where, now we don't know how it happened, but this is from Prince of Egypt, of course. And this is Moses discovering his lineage and what happened to them. Let's go ahead and make sure the music's there. He's looking through the storybooks. Look at that. As he discovers the story of what happened to him. Listen carefully as Moses the first, Grandpa, comes.
The Hebrews grew too numerous.
Turn it up a bit.
They might have risen against us.
They might have risen against us.
You can do this. Moses, sometimes for the great and good, sacrifices must be made.
Other sacrifices. Listen. Sacrifices?
Sacrifices.
Oh, Moses. Listen carefully.
Oh, my son. They were only slaves.
Did you hear that? They were only slaves. Sometimes we become diminishers in our lives. Sometimes we are diminished by others. We are made to look small to others, and we begin to believe it. Does that mean it's true? Only Giancarlo answered. Am I putting you to sleep? Just because you are being diminished by others, does that mean it's true? True, we should not in our lives like just because I am doesn't make me awesome, okay? Just because I walk out the front door doesn't mean I'm awesome and successful, right? I have to have personal achievement. And we also ask that God blesses that personal achievement. But here's the thing that happens to us in this world. Liberation is something we like until we discover how much work it is to be liberated. As a human being, I myself have done my best to be like a mentor type person with pastors or whatever. Anna's a good teacher, and she's a mentor. But that's hard sometimes. And those here, we have leaders in this church. Raul is one of them, and Noemi. You guys are mentors. When you mentor or liberate someone else, that means you're sometimes harder on them than we want to be. Because if you want someone to be successful, it means that we want them to learn. Diminishment is easier. Oh, they won't be able to do it. Oh, it doesn't matter. Do you hear that? Oh, they're only slaves. Oh, it's okay. It's only John Aitken that's here. It's fine. He'll be okay. He's going to do okay. He's going to do well. It's only Cosette that's here. Okay, it's going to be fine. That sounds good, kind of, if you want to be let off the hook, but actually it doesn't sound good, does it? Here's what Jesus thinks about you. You are a child of God. And those shoulders can move back. And you can raise your head high because you have within you the ability to make changes that matter for this world. But that does not mean that you know already everything that needs to be done. You need to learn how to be free. This is why, you remember the story of Moses? He leaves, and he's quite diminished. He's out there in the wilderness for 40 years. And finally, God calls him at the burning bush. And you know what he says to God? I can't do it. You know why? Because he's so diminished. Yes, he got married. He's married to Zipporah. He's got this family, but he's still not raising his head. He is a prince of Egypt. But also, he is one that's called by God. He goes to the burning bush and says, I can't speak. That's true. When he's been in the wilderness, that means, I'm sure Egyptian, he didn't want to be embarrassed by his Egyptian not being right. I mean, some people say he stuttered. I don't believe that at all. I believe, listen, Moses that wasn't the problem. We would have known that. The problem is, he didn't want to look like a fool in the court of Pharaoh. So God says, okay, I'll get Aaron. Aaron understands the language correctly. I mean, he didn't say that, but he can speak for you. He'll be like to you like you are to me, is what God says to Moses. And Moses says, they're not going to believe me. Take your staff, put it down. And you know what it turned into? A serpent. Now he says, take it by the tail. Grabs it, it becomes a staff again. I don't have my staff here. I need to have my Gandalf staff here. God is trying to show him, you have a lot more power than you know. You just need to connect with me, God says. And God is not a diminisher that takes you in and then puts you down to put you down. What he does is he works you so that you become stronger, better, more able. When you start following God, you're going to find the most difficult times in your life, actually. You know that? But it's not because he wants to put you down. It's because he wants you to grow. Wake up, that's true, but to grow. I have a lot of verses here, but I'm just going to go to the straightforward ones. Let's, here's a verse. Psalms 115. When Psalms 115, right in the middle of your Bible, Psalms 115. Kind of sounds to me like the way sometimes it is in popular culture today. Where's your God? Right. Psalms 115, verse 2. Why do the nations say, where is their God? Verse 3. The Lord is in heaven. He does whatever it pleases him. Verse 4. But their idols are silver and gold. How do you like that? Silver and gold, kind of like Egypt. Have you ever seen Egyptian treasures? It's gold-filled. It's incredible, isn't it? Their God, their idols are made out of silver and gold, made by what? Human hands. So in other words, the one who makes the God is God, right? Because there is no God if there's not someone to make that God, right? So the maker of the idol becomes more powerful. Do you see that? The psychology? They have mouths, these idols, but they cannot speak. They have eyes, but cannot see. They have ears that cannot hear and noses that cannot smell. Verse 7. They have hands that cannot feel, feet that cannot walk, nor can they utter a sound out of their throats. Verse 8, listen to this. Those who make them will be what? Like them. And so all who trust in them. If your God is a boss that diminishes you, if you serve that boss, you will become just like that boss. The children of Israel had become slaves because they became like Pharaoh. That's why we're in the wilderness, right? In the wilderness, they say, oh, if only I could go back to Egypt. Back there, there's onions. It's like, what? But you're slaves. But at least we can eat. Out here, what is there? I won't even have a grave. I won't even have a marker for my grave. And it's like, wow, guys, such a high bar you guys have. You want a marker for your grave? You don't want freedom? Freedom, when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, freedom's beginning was actually Mount Sinai, where they learned how to run themselves, not be run by the Pharaoh. Huh? If you yourself become your own manager, you know that's the way out of narcissism, right? You ever heard of narcissism? Yeah, it's narcissist. He looks at the pool of water and all he can think about is himself. And of course, there's always the echo, because every pharaoh has to have a slave, echo. And echo always echoes back what narcissist says. And that's why when you go in the cave, you say it and you hear it over and over, echo. That's the one who follows narcissist around. She, or should I say, every narcissist cannot change unless they learn how to manage themselves. If someone wants to diminish you, it's because they don't have any boundaries. They boundary themselves right into your business and constantly tell you what to do, diminishing you. So, instead of changing them, we must change ourselves by establishing our boundaries. That's why God gave the 10 Commandments. That's why God gave the law of life. Sometimes we think life is going to be so much better if we don't have any law, but actually, Jesus doesn't want the law over there. He wants it here. Why? Because we will have joy. No longer do we have a hole in the middle of our heart that just sucks everything around us and wants whatever, wants to control others. Instead, we learn how to control ourselves. Are you with me on that? I know, it's a great Mother's Day sermon, right? I actually thought about it, modifying. But you know what? This is a good message for moms and for dads and for children. Real joy comes from being established in Jesus. I want you to turn with me to one last text. It's in Matthew. Are you with me again? Matthew. Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. And this is where you see something very, very real. You are the what? Salt of the earth. That doesn't sound real exciting, right? It doesn't sound super exciting to say that you're the salt of the earth sometimes, because you say, what? What's that all about? But have you ever tasted food without salt? Have you? I know I have something in there. It's moving around in my mouth, but I don't taste it. Something's there, but this is sometimes how I feel. Sometimes this is the Weimar thing. I want to taste things. I want to taste. Can I just taste it, please? Please, a little salt. It's you have to have something interesting in life. I know there are two different kinds of people: those who eat to live, and then there are those who live to eat. Right? I'm the live to eater. I'm a little more of that. But eat to live, I'm like, if it's not something that's going to be delicious, I don't want to put it in my mouth. I'm good. I'm good. I'll just I'm not in the Matrix world where you just eat a slop. I'm not interested in that, right? And the thing is you are the salt of the earth. Life is not a joy without you, but you can't lose your saltiness. You can't stop caring about God and others. You know that? Others, when they meet you, are not for you to diminish. Instead, your job is to build up and liberate and make them better people. And to sometimes fade into the background and let them do their best. But you can't empire build when you're like that, can you? God doesn't want empire builders. He wants builders for the kingdom of heaven. You are the salt of the world. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown and trampled under feet. That's absolutely true. Just like Pharaoh. You clean a bunch of roads with a guy like Pharaoh. Get everything out of the way. Get everything dead on the road so that people can walk on it. Verse 14, you are the what? Have you ever been in a room that's dark? The diminisher wants your light to be hidden because they themselves are insecure. They themselves do not feel adequate. So what they do is put a bowl over your light. Oh, James, you got it, man. Oh, I heard that one. I've done that too, by the way. Maybe not in the same position, but I've done that one. When your light shines, then nobody can diminish you. So let your light so shine so that what? People will notice you? What does it say? So that it gets everyone in the room can then be able to see. Verse 16, in the same way, let your light so shine before others so that they may see your good deeds. Do you see law? To do your right thing. And what do? Who? Glorify you? In the kingdom of heaven, there are no masters. We all work together so that our lights may shine, so that Jesus may be brought to light. You want to grow a church? We're not going to diminish each other. What we're going to do is we're going to ask Jesus to light our fire.